Hi, you're watching Movie Guide. I'm Evie Bear Carroll, your host, and I'm here with Katie Miller of Sight and Sound. And your family started Sight and Sound almost 40 years ago now, am I right?
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so my grandparents both grew up as farmers in Lancaster County and kind of thought, my grandfather especially was a dairy farmer, he thought that that was going to be his future, his life. And through a set of tragedies, his father actually sold the family farm, and he found himself as a young man engaged to be married and without a vocation. So he started relying on his creativity to make ends meet. He was peddling paintings out of the back of his car. He was using photography throughout the community, and eventually produced a slideshow. In the 60s, this was a big deal, but like a multimedia slideshow for his church, which kind of surprisingly exploded on him. So they started traveling with slideshows. Eventually purchased a plot of land and built our first theater, and to see if people could come to them. They were tired of traveling. And that really, not to be funny, but set the stage for what we grew into throughout the last 40 years. Adding live elements, live animals, actors, music, and eventually grew to where we started producing full-length, huge-scale Bible stories.
That is amazing. And today it's on Fathom, and you've had two previous. And I mean, is your grandfather still alive?
He is, and it's been so fun. The very first time we did a Fathom event was with Jonah in 2017, and it was so surreal, I think, for my grandparents to. It felt in some ways like our history had come full circle. You know, we had started out with screens and multimedia, and now throughout 43 years of history to get to the place that we are now, also still taking our shows onto the big screen in this massive way, was just a little bit of a surreal feeling for our whole family, I think.
Have you gotten to sit down with them and be like, how are you feeling, you know, seeing it on the big screen, seeing it at the movie theater?
I mean, I think for them, you know, they didn't ever start out. My grandfather was 20 years old taking photos and painting. I don't think he ever was like, someday I'm going to have 2,000. Right. You know, you don't do, you just, the Lord leads you and takes you where He has called you to be. And so I think for all of us, it's a little bit overwhelming to be here and see where all it has grown, and also with a lot of excitement for where we believe the Lord is still going to keep taking us in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And since it's, you know, family business, how many members of the family are
we have an incredible team of people. We have over 650 employees between our two locations that are just amazing. And out of those employees, there's about 20 of us from the family that are all working together, and it's fun. You know, we're backstage sometimes. We're having some of the same experiences, watching some of our kids have the same experiences that we did as kids growing up. It's never dull, for sure. Yeah. There's always something happening.
Now, were you ever put on stage? Yeah. Did you have to act?
Yes. Grew up on stage. At that time when I was younger, it was a very small enterprise. We only had a few employees, and most of which were family members. So it was aunts and uncles and cousins and siblings, and we had a blast. It was a unique childhood for sure.
Oh,
Definitely not what would be considered typical. And now it's fun. My kids are the oldest of the fourth generation, and it's fun to watch them on stage and with cousins, and in some ways having very similar experiences to what I did as a kid, but in a much grander scale.
Yeah, and I love the fact that, you know, you guys are doing these huge productions, like they're really well done, but it's biblical messages. This one that you're doing now is Noah.
Yes.
So talk about, you know, how you guys decide on which biblical stories you do, and that process.
Yeah. Well, Noah as a show has a very, very special place in our hearts, in that, like I had said, we had been doing review style shows, all sorts of things up until the mid-90s. And Noah was really the first show that we produced that was of this big biblical epic size. And it kind of was, we joke and say it was our flagship show, but it really was. Like, it was the show that we kind of said, oh my word, like this is where we feel God calling us. Like, we want to bring the Bible to life on stage and have audiences have the opportunity to just be a part of these huge Bible stories. So since Noah first premiered in 1995, it has changed a little bit throughout the years, but it has been seen by more than 5 million people live on our stages. And now to be able to see it coming to the big screen at a national level is something that just feels super special to us, just because of the special place Noah has in our history.
Yeah. I also love the fact that it is theater, so but people could come for entertainment value who aren't necessarily Christians, or they can come with someone. Have you guys heard great stories of people, you know, hearing the message?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually yesterday walking in here ran into somebody, and they said, oh my goodness, we're big fans of Sight and Sound. We brought our youth group years ago, and at the end of the show, one of the students actually said, hey, I want to have a relationship with Jesus. Can someone talk to me about how to do that? And so we hear stories like that. It's so overwhelming and it's humbling, but it's the exact thing we're hoping to do. Like, these stories have been changing lives for thousands of years. We can't take credit for them. We have the opportunity to tell them, and in a really fun and entertaining way. But they are still relevant. They're still alive today. They still have so much opportunity to inspire people, to bless people, to help people grow. And if we can have an opportunity to connect people to Scripture, then we've done the thing we feel like we're called to do.
Oh, for sure. And then getting your actors, what's the process now of the casting?
Yeah, so we hold auditions throughout the nation at both of our locations. We hold auditions in New York. We go to a lot of theater conferences. So we're pulling people from all over, incredibly talented people. They're so fun to watch on stage and just see them be able to use what God put inside of them in a way that is so reflective of Him and all that He has done for us.
Yeah. Okay, where can our audience, when's the Fathom date? Where can they find out more if it's close to them?
Yeah, so Noah will be in movie theaters April 9th, 11th, and 13th. And the easiest way to get information is to go to the website, which is noahevent.com. And you can go there, put your zip code in, it brings up all the local theaters near you with show times and buy tickets. You can do everything right there.
Great, well
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.